All right, listen up, because I promise you what I'm about to share is the kind of story that makes you question whether justice actually exists or if the universe just likes to throw curveballs at people who least deserve them. Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning, sun blazing, and I'm standing in my driveway, coffee in hand, thinking I'm about to have a quiet day. Instead, my world's about to explode, all because I did something perfectly legal, something any sane person would do. But to Delilah, the queen of HOAs and drama, it was apparently the crime of the century. She's standing at the end of my driveway, sunglasses halfway down her nose, voice sharp enough to cut glass, screeching, "You can't just leave our HOA. I'm calling the police." And she does. She really does. Sirens, blue lights, my neighbors poking their heads through their curtains. A cop car screeches to a stop and out steps my son Marcus. Yep, my son, the police sergeant she's called to arrest his own father. I'll never forget the look on Delilah's face. She turns about 3 shades whiter than her BMW. Mouth open, fingers still pointed. Time kind of freezes. But maybe I should back up and explain how a guy like me, Grayson Mitchell, ex-union electrician, retiree, widower, and generally law-abiding citizen, ends up with the HOA president trying to get him cuffed on his own lawn. I bought this place with my wife Sarah a decade back. Willowbrook Estates. Back then the HOA sounded like a dream pool, security, tidy lawns, all that jazz. We needed quiet because Sarah, she was fighting cancer, and those evenings by the pool watching the sun paint the water orange and gold became our little slice of peace. When she passed, the silence in the house swallowed me whole. My boy Marcus kept telling me, "Dad, you need a smaller place. You're bouncing around in there like a marble in a coffee can." Marcus, always practical, became a cop because he genuinely wanted to help people. In today's world, that almost makes him a unicorn. He lives a county over which turned out to matter in ways I never saw coming. Life shuffled along until Delilah Thornwick moved in next door. Real estate agent, 50-something, BMW, always spotless, and the kind of woman who checks grass height with a ruler. Within 6 months, she'd wrangled herself into the HOA presidency, her platform community standards. Translation, I'm going to make your life hell, but with bylaws. Her reign, let's call it creative. Elderly folks, widows, anyone who didn't look like a suburban magazine cover, they were targets. Mrs. Denver flower beds too wild, the Santos kids basketball hoop too loud, the Kowalski's veggies growing where roses should be. Me, I was the ultimate offense, existing without asking permission. After Sarah passed, Delilah zeroed in. 6 months after the funeral, I snapped. I wanted out of the HOA. I spent 3 days buried in the county law library. Turns out in California, with the right paperwork, you can withdraw from an HOA if you've paid your dues, given notice, all that. So I did. Dot the I's, cross the T's, send the letter certified. All perfectly legal. Delilah's response, immediate nuclear escalation. 3 days later, she's at my door, clipboard ready, telling me Sarah's beloved tomato garden violates our covenants. My wife spent her last summer in that garden, her legacy growing out of the dirt. The garden stays, I said. Delilah just made more notes, looking like she was drafting the Geneva Convention. Then the letter started. First, a demand for $2,300 in withdrawal processing fees, invented out of thin air. Then emergency assessments, $350 a month, retroactive. None of this was in the HOA bylaws. I knew a shakedown when I smelled one. I dove into records, spending days at the county clerk's until the place smelled more like home than my own kitchen. That's where I met Ethel Kowalski, 73, retired paralegal, sharp as hell. She slid a manila folder over like we were in some spy thriller. She's done this before. Made up fees, harassment, bankruptcy, threats. I've got the receipts. Here's the kicker for any new fee. Delilah needed a 67% homeowner vote filed with the county. She'd skipped all that. We had proof. Ethel and I filed a formal complaint, then started chatting up neighbors. Did you vote for these new fees? Nobody had. Doubt, once it's planted, spreads fast. But Delilah went scorched earth. My old Ford truck, the one Sarah and I spent weekends fixing, vanished. Towed as an abandoned vehicle, according to a neighbor who watched it happen. I had paperwork, insurance, everything legit, but Delilah had convinced the city it was junk. Cost me $485 to get it back. Let me tell you, nothing fires up a retired electrician like having his memory-laden pickup hauled off for being unsightly. From there, Delilah tried everything. Cease and desist letters claiming my basic security cameras there, for my own peace of mind, invaded neighbor privacy. I'd installed those after Sarah's jewelry vanished post-funeral. The cameras only saw my property. But Delilah didn't want to be seen snooping. So I called in Jerome Santos' neighbor cybersecurity specialist and the type of guy who finds HOA shenanigans more amusing than alarming. He checked my setup. "You're golden," he said. Then he upgraded my system for good measure. Within 48 hours, we caught Delilah making the rounds, spreading lies that I was unstable, trying to get my neighbors to turn on me. The community woke up. The Kowalskis, the Santos family, Mrs. Denver. We started having coffee meetings in my garage, swapping horror stories, trading paperwork. Suddenly, I wasn't alone. Delilah's final gambit, city inspectors, restraining orders, court filings claiming I threatened her. She twisted my words, painted herself the victim. But Jerome had everything on tape. Ethel Legal Ninja, that she is called, in an attorney, Patricia Denver, a pit bull in a business suit. Patricia took our mountain of evidence and moved fast. The judge scheduled a hearing. But the night before Delilah made her boldest move, called 911, claimed I was unstable, threatening to burn down the neighborhood. 2 cops showed up at my door, but the paperwork and video evidence turned them into instant allies. "Mr. Mitchell," they said, "we're documenting this pattern. Whoever's making these calls could be looking at felony charges." That was it. Delilah, in trying to bury me, dug her own grave. Patricia presented our case to the DA, illegal fees, harassment, false police reports, perjury, and thanks to a last-minute delivery from the county auditor, embezzlement. 52 grand missing from HOA funds routed straight to Delilah's consulting company. Fraud, theft, everything on paper. We called a community meeting. 34 households showed up. Channel 7 News too. Delilah tried to start her usual concerned leader speech, but Ethel cut her off. "Where's our $52,000? Jerome put the evidence up on the projector. Bank records, forged invoices, video footage." The crowd went from stunned to furious, and when Detective Sarah Williams from the Sheriff's Department walked in, badge and cuffs ready, Delilah panicked, called 911 one last time, standing right next to an actual detective. "Ma'am," Detective Williams said, "I am the police, and you just filed a false emergency report in front of 34 witnesses." Then my son Marcus walks in, takes off his sunglasses. Delilah spins, desperate. "Officer, arrest them." Marcus looks at me, then at Delilah. "Ma'am, you just called 911 on a police officer's father. Care to explain?" The look on her face worth every headache. As Delilah was led away in handcuffs on live TV, every petty humiliation, every letter, every phony fee faded. All I heard was Sarah's laugh in my memory. 3 months later, the phone rings. "Patricia." "Grayson." She took the plea. Felony fraud, grand larceny, false police reports. 18 months in state prison, 5 years probation, $78,000 restitution. Delilah's reign ended with a whimper, not a bang. Her real estate license gone for good. The neighborhood transformed overnight. Ethel became interim president. Transparency was the new law of the land. Dues dropped. Kids played basketball again. Mrs. Denver's flowers bloomed without threat. We set up a scholarship in Sarah's name with the money Delilah tried to steal. What did I learn? You can't always control what hits you. Disease, grief, cruelty. But you can choose to fight back. You can band together with neighbors and friends. Evil, even in the suburbs, can be beaten if people stand up. And sometimes karma wears a badge or carries a manila folder. So let me leave you with this. What would you have done? When does standing up become revenge? And where's the line between justice and payback? Drop your worst HOA nightmare below. I rate every single one. And if you want to see more stories where the little guy wins, hit subscribe. Let's make sure the next bully thinks twice before picking a fight with the wrong neighborhood.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.